Alright guys, so welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to do a pack with me style video. So this is going to be all of the stuff that I normally take on trips with me, leaving out the food and any clothing. That's going to fluctuate from trip to trip, and it's going to change depending on the location, the weather, things like that. So outside of food and clothes, this is going to be my base set. This is going to be all of the stuff that I'm normally going to take on trips. First off, you're going to need a backpack. So this is a 55-liter Magellan pack I got from my buddy Russ. Shout out to Russ, you're a real dude. But this is what everything's going to go in. I enjoy this pack. It's gotten me through multiple trips, as you guys have seen in past videos. And this bag does everything I could possibly need. So we're going to start with a little bit of periphery, if you will. A pair of nail clippers, super good on camping trips. There's nothing worse than a hangnail. Hand hygiene is important. You're touching a lot of things, then probably going to touch your face. And the last thing you want is to have gnarly fingers going on a trip. So the next thing we're going to have is a small little folding knife. This is really good. It has 3 blades. It's a little buck knife, and it's super useful. The reason I keep it is you're always going to have some sort of cutting task when it comes to camp, and it's really nice to have a backup knife. If I'm carving something by the fire, for example, and someone on the trip wants to practice along with me, it's really nice to have a secondary blade so that someone else can practice, or just to always have a sharp knife. I also am going to keep a whistle on me. It has a fire starter built in. There's a ferro rod and a striker here, as you can see. But the whistle is incredibly loud. So if, heaven forbid, I get separated or someone gets separated, a whistle will cut through trees, it'll cut across land, and it'll save your vocal cords, which is super important if you ever do get lost. You can only scream for so long, but if you can breathe, you can blow a whistle. So moving on to bigger things, this is going to be my sleeping bag. Now, this is another piece of gear I got from Russ. This is a 30-degree mummy bag from Magellan, and I absolutely love it. This bag has gotten me through some really cold nights with the help of some other gear we'll talk about here in a minute. I did replace the stuff sack. The one that I got from Russ was a little torn up, a little beat up. So I got this Red Camp one, which is a brand I really like. But this is my sleeping bag. Mummy bag, I love it. It gets the job done. So my sleeping bag will just ride in this bottom section of the backpack. It's the perfect size, it fits well, and it allows for a good stable base on my pack for other things to sit on and not move around too much. So I just pop it in, then I go ahead and zip it up, and we're ready to rock and roll from here. So the next bit of gear that I'm always going to have is mosquito spray. I live in Texas, and the mosquitoes here are pretty horrendous, depending on the time of year, of course. And anytime I know I'm going to be anywhere near water, or if it recently rained, I'm going to have mosquito spray, and it just rides in the water bottle pocket on the side. Speaking of, I'm also going to bring this Nalgene water bottle. I don't know what there is to say about it. It's an Nalgene. I have good stickers. Slim Pickens Outfitters, that is a local little outdoor store. I really like them. If you guys are ever in the Stephenville area, go by, grab a sticker, grab something from them. Help support a local business. They are the first black-owned outdoor outfitter company in the nation. So that's super cool. I love that they're local and that Stephenville has a sense of pride with them. So that just rides in the other water bottle. So the next section we're going to talk about is the brain, which is the top of the bag. Inside that, I keep a handful of pretty useful items. I like to keep a roll of paracord. It's just really nice. As a hammock camper, I'm always trying to hang things up, and just having an excess of cordage is always a really good move for the type of stuff that I do. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is a bandana. I always have one, no matter where I'm going. There's a million uses. You can use it for everything from just wiping the sweat off you, which most of us are familiar with. You can use it to filter water if you absolutely had to. Good to dry your hands off, wash your hands. You can use it to kind of wrap a wound if you were to get one. Some other first aid uses, you could use it as kind of a makeshift tourniquet. I wouldn't recommend it. Hopefully you're wearing a belt because you want something about 2 inches wide to make sure that nothing bad happens at the wound site. But in a pinch, this would work. So a lot of times what I'll use it for is an oven mitt. So if something's been hot in the fire, we need to grab it, whatever it might be. That's just a way to keep our hands safe. Rides up in the top with a lot of other gear, such as my fire kit. I have a spare whistle/ferrule rod that I can strike with the back of any of the knives I'm going to carry. I have a Bic lighter that has Gorilla Tape on it. I have the matches and the box and the striker and all that inside. I don't ever expect to need it to light a fire. We normally have other ways to do it, but it's just nice to have on the off chance, good to practice kind of little different skills here and there. So I'm also going to carry a little bit of medical type stuff. We'll call it a first aid kit. It's just going to have like Band-Aids, some ibuprofen, stuff like that for just little headaches, all inside this little pouch. I'm going to carry a spare lighter, and I'm also going to carry tweezers. If you guys aren't carrying tweezers when you go on trips, you definitely should. There's nothing worse than having a splinter or a sliver or something real tiny that you need to grab a hold of that would just make the trip a little more enjoyable if it wasn't, lodged within your hand, something like that. So I just tuck this all inside of here, close the little patch, and I will just stash that up in top as well. So one of the most useful things you can have, and you know this if you've ever been on a trip, is a headlamp. This one is mine, and I absolutely adore it. It has a red light function, so that, in the middle of the night, if you're getting up, you don't wake everyone up with a super harsh light. And the light also has, a spotlight beam, like most do, 3 different levels. I really like it. They say it's waterproof. It is rechargeable. It has a rechargeable battery, but it also can run off of 3 AAAs if need be. Super good light. I just keep it kind of bundled up. I've never had issues with it turning on and draining the battery in my pack. I also don't pack everything in the top so that it has a chance to kind of just float around loosely. So if we look at the underside of the brain, we see a big pocket. And inside of that pocket, I'm going to keep some freezer bags. These are good for everything from carrying food. If you have, a rain jacket that gets really wet in a rain, as it should, and then you don't want to pack it with the rest of your stuff, toss it inside of a spare Ziploc bag. That way it keeps all of your gear dry. It's a really, really smart way to go about packing on a couple extra ounces for pounds of use, I would say. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is my titanium spork that I got for Christmas. It's super cool. I love it. It's lightweight. I haven't gotten a chance to use it on a ton of different things. I've used it to scoop like peanut butter out of jars and stuff like that. But what I'm looking forward to is scooping all the stuff out of the very tiny corners of the Mountain House meals with this little pinch grip. That's how all the people I watch online do it, and I'm really excited to mimic that. And this will just ride on the outside of my pack. I'll have it shoved in this little spot, and I'll flip it around so that the tines don't grab on anything. So the next thing we're going to talk about is my camping pillow. Now, I got this for Christmas, and it has been such a lifesaver. It's inflatable. It does everything I need it to do. I used to have a big camping pillow, but it would just take up so much room inside the pack, and I never had room for anything else. So this has saved a lot of space and a lot of weight overall. And it just lives over here on the side. So the next thing we're going to talk about is my fire maple stove. I love this thing. It is incredible. It's just like a Jetboil, but without the crazy price tag. I really enjoy the sleeves on the outside and all the different features that this stove comes with. Trying to show you here, there's a little hole so you can even drain pasta out of it, things like that. It's really, really good. I really do enjoy the stove. So we just open it. You press down on the handle, and this little brass section kind of pops off. Keeps it secure. I've never had an issue with it. Go ahead and open it. Securely locks. Here's a better look at that little pasta hole. It's just good for steam, things like that. Looking inside, I like to keep a little piece of paper with me just to kind of, it has my dreams, aspirations. It helps me stay positive and helps people I'm around stay positive as well. When you do something nice for someone and you help them out when they tell you what they want, it just feels good to help out a buddy in that way. And so that'll just ride in the main compartment. That'll be the first thing that I put in there, with a bottle of fuel as well. So this is one of my favorite pieces of gear that I've acquired recently. Lindsay got me this baller camping chair for Christmas. I've used it a handful of times, both for camping related things and not, and it's just so nice. This just sits in the pack, and it's the size of my tarp. Like, it's really not that big. It's very lightweight. I do a lot of car camping, and so I'm not going to be hiking 25 miles in, so I can afford a luxury like this. And I know a lot of people out there that can't, but with the way I do things, having a little camping chair that just fits in my pack is phenomenal. I love this thing. Lindsay, thank you. This is an excellent piece of gear. So, as you guys know, I am big into hammock camping. I don't really enjoy sleeping in a tent. It just hurts my back. It never goes well for me. So this is my hammock. This is just an Amazon Basics hammock. You don't need some crazy expensive hammock or anything like that. This is what I use though. I just hang this bad boy up, and I have had beautiful nights of sleep in this exact hammock. It's lightweight, it functions well, and it does all of the stuff that I could possibly need a hammock to do. So along with a hammock, you're going to need some accessories. This is my tarp. I also got this for Christmas, and I haven't really gotten a chance to use it, but I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really wanting to go out on a rainy weekend and spend the night out and hear the rain kind of pitter-pattering across the top of the tarp, and there will definitely be a video going along with that. So this tarp comes with tent stakes and guy lines and all the stuff to keep it set up how you want. I believe it even comes with its own ridge line in the bag. But this is going to be a vital piece of kit for the future, and I'm very, very excited to get to use it. So next piece of gear is going to be spare tent stakes. These are incredibly useful. You never know when someone's going to show up and their tent doesn't have a tent stake, or they have one or two that are kind of messed up. So this is what they look like. They're really simple design. I really like them, from Wise Owl Outfitters. They're just useful to have a couple spares. Like I said, I car camp, so I carry this whole bag with me. If I was going on a longer trip, I may carry less, but for what I do, these work really well. And it's always good to help somebody out or have spares in case one of your own stakes break. Things kind of along those lines. And these are going to ride opposite of my camping pillow. They just kind of sit on their own side in this pocket, and that's where they're going to stay. So this super vital piece of gear is another piece from Red Camp. This is my sleeping pad. Lindsay's grandma got me this for Christmas. Shout out to Nana, you a real one as well. This is phenomenal. As far as hammock camping goes, a sleeping pad is a non-negotiable. You get really, really cold on your backside when you're 3 feet in the air and the wind's blowing under you. And having something like this to corral you and keep your heat in is super duper important. I love this thing. It has gotten me through so many different trips, and I will never not take this anywhere I go. I may even take this just as a stroll across campus and hang my hammock up at one of our little hammock areas, because I really don't like having a cold butt. So the way that this attaches, it doesn't go inside, but there's 2 straps. Boom, I click one in, bring this one up over on the other side, click that one in as well, tighten down my straps, make sure nothing goes anywhere, and boom, that is where all of my stuff goes. The bigger stuff in the main compartment, things off to the sides, and the sleeping pad here on the bottom. And that's all the stuff I'm going to take on every trip. Like I said, things will fluctuate as far as, food, what type of food, what kind of clothing I'm going to wear and bring along the trips. But that's my base amount of gear that's going to go everywhere with me. You guys now know how I pack it up. And that's my kit. It's not expensive. It's nothing crazy. I don't have Jetboil. I don't have an hammock. I don't have any major brands of stuff. And the stuff I do have was kind of hand-me-downs. You don't have to spend a ton of money to get out into the outdoors. You can do it for cheap. Make sure to keep a piece of paper around that has all your goals on it. And until next time, guys, stay outdoors.